You need a decent mobility for some calisthenics exercises.
Okay.
I know, you've already heard this a few times by now. People tend to talk about this topic in really general terms. But what are the exact calisthenics exercises which require a decent mobility and in which joint?
And what are the best exercises / stretches for them?
In this video, you will get answers for these questions. Let's get into it. First, what is mobility?
Mobility is the ability to move a joint or series of joints actively through a range of motion. Whereas flexibility is done by passive stretches.
What's important to understand here is that mobility training provides much greater benefits than flexibility training. In other words, working on mobility is much more important than flexibility for most people.
The bigger the active range of motion in a joint, the more mobile it is.
The lack of mobility can hold you back. It makes it impossible for you to perform some exercises since you are not able to reach the required angles in the joints. Now, as we've checked the basic knowledge, we can move on to the primary topic of this video. Here are all reasonable bodyweight exercises which require a decent mobility.
The handstand, full range of motion dips, the false grip itself, ring muscle up, and similar to it, the slow bar muscle up, back lever, L-sit, leg raises, toes to bar, V-sit, handstand press, and the deep squat.
Now, let's see each of them in detail.
The back lever, full range of motion dips, and the two controlled muscle ups I've mentioned before require a decent shoulder extension mobility. Shoulder extension is the movement when you move your upper arm backwards and behind your back. Achieving a better shoulder extension mobility is crucial for the controlled muscle ups because it will make the transition into the deep dip support easier, while for the other two is more about avoiding discomfort and injuries. The most comprehensive exercise for improving shoulder extension mobility is the easy bridge. The goal with this movement is to raise your body as high as possible while maintaining a depressed and retracted scapula. This exercise works your posterior chain, which are the muscles on the backside of your body, while it stretches the chest from delts and the biceps, which is really important for maintaining a healthy posture. Another exercise can be done in a kneeling position while holding a stick behind your back. From there, you raise the stick with straight arms backwards as much as possible. Do it 4 reps.
By the way, there are 2 more exercises which belong here.
One of them is the behind the back curl, which is not so popular.
And the other one is the Hefesto, which is, well, it's hard as hell.
The handstand. For a straight handstand, you need a good shoulder flexion mobility, the movement when you raise your upper arm forward and above your head. If you want your handstand to look like this, you need at least 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. If you can't raise your arms that high, you have to compensate by arching your back.
To improve your shoulder flexion mobility, you can use any of the following exercises.
Bike stand. The key point of this exercise is to open up your shoulders as much as possible. While doing this one, you have to aim for a posterior pelvic tilt, as in a straight handstand position as well. You raise the stick as high as you can. Do this 4 reps. A harder exercise can be done while lying on your belly and fighting for the end range. Again, you should maintain a posterior pelvic tilt.
This can be really uncomfortable at the beginning.
But after you can do your reps without struggling, you can be sure that you've unlocked the necessary shoulder mobility for the handstand. In addition, you can do dead hangs for stretching the lats, since stiff lats are the main cause of poor shoulder flexion mobility. The false grip. This kind of grip is essential for the ring muscle up because you have to go from hanging into supporting. And with the false grip, your wrists are already above the rings. With a normal grip, the transition will be much harder and also way more dangerous for your wrists. The false grip is also commonly used for front lever rows, since it makes this advanced exercise somewhat easier, because it shortens the lever a little bit.
Now, as you've started to sympathize with the false grip, I have to disappoint you. To do it safely, you have to work on your wrist flexion mobility.
The best exercise for that is the kneeling wrist flexion. Again, this could feel uncomfortable at the beginning, so be careful with the load. The bigger the distance between your hands and knees, the more body weight will be applied onto your wrists and the more intense the stretch gonna be. Next on, we've got the L-sit, leg raises, toes to bar, V-sit, and the handstand press. They all include the straight leg hip flexion component, aka straight leg mobility, which most people have problems with. Building up the necessary hip flexion mobility and hamstring flexibility is everything but comfortable. But after you've unlocked your straight leg mobility, a new class of exercises opens up in front of you, such as the V-sit and the handstand press.
Which, to be honest, are quite impressive moves.
The top two exercises for improving your straight leg mobility are sitting leg raises, which emphasize the active range, and the Jefferson curl, which is king when it comes to working on your hamstring flexibility and stretching the whole posterior chain in general. The last movement is the deep squat. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people who can't do it because they lack in ankle flexion mobility. If you are one of those people, my recommendation for you is to do assisted deep squats or kneeling ankle flexions. For the archer and the pistol squat, you need even more ankle and hip mobility as well. But chill. If you practice these exercises, your range of motion will improve over time on its own.
Great! Now you know all exercises where strength is not the only factor which can keep you back, and the best mobility exercises to achieve them. But when should you do these mobility exercises and for how long? Well, mainly it depends on you, but in my eyes the best way is to implement those exercises into your warm-up. Another way is to do them on separate days when you don't have strength training. In general, do each mobility exercise for 30 to 60 seconds. And if you want to keep things simple, do the following 3-minute routine as a part of your warm-up.
If you've paid closer attention, you may have noticed that there are 3 calisthenics exercises which require 2 major mobility points instead of just one: the handstand press, the pistol squat, and the ring muscle up / slow muscle up.
So if you want to learn these movements one day, as well as others, just implement the 3-minute routine and you will be good to go. I hope you found this video useful. If you did so, consider subscribing for future uploads. See you in the next one.